Hi there again, YouTube. It's Viv Moon here, part 4 of this particular series of videos. We've just looked at some of the history of the subjugation on this planet. We've got so far as essentially looking at what's happening with us today. We could just briefly go back to the British Empire. This is one of the big jokes, is that obviously we think that the British Empire is something that the British made out of their so you got, yeah, the British Empire was so Europe, Normans, yeah, so we got Normans and Franks. So you got the Muslim invasion of Europe, where the black Arabs have invaded and they've started raping and pillaging their way through Europe, and essentially got to the point where, so we got to the point where the Fon have been created in West Africa. You got the Malian kingdom just doing quite well for itself at the end of this. So you got the Muslim invasion to Europe, and you've got the Malian kingdom that is essentially the big player at the time in that area. So what happens is there's this Battle of Tours where it's supposed to be this great victory for the Europeans. Charles Martel, Hammer of whatever, Charlie Mange, you know, Charles Martel. He's supposed to have managed to beat this huge army with only 1,000 men or something like that, and obviously is not what happened. We get the Franks, and then we get the Normans. This is the capitulation of a group of people to a invading force, and rather than fight a war, they've basically sent this created a lie that says, oh, you win the war, there's a few certain conditions on us leaving your territory, here they are, this is your farming terms and conditions. And so that's what the Battle of Tours was. There was no win for Europe, and anything that the Frankish Empire achieved was they are at this point subject to Islam, and so anything that was done through them, they would be called what would be called a dhimmi group, yeah. So they're not Jewish, yeah, they're not Muslims, they're dhimmis, yeah. So they're helping the subjugation of their own people without having to become part of either the Jews or the Muslims. This would be Christians. And so England gets taken over by the Normans. The Normans are created by alongside the getting Islam to leave Europe, some of that involves the Crusades, and it's a lot where English kings, and a lot of history comes from that end of, like, we come back from marching all our gold to the Middle East to be wearing lions on our shirts and getting divine rights, because we've gone there to receive orders. Anyway, so you got all of this history there. The Normans took over England. Then the Spanish didn't get to America until the year the Muslims left Europe. So the Muslims, by all account, had been in America, basically Islam was the Aztec Empire in America, and they did a lot of killing over there before the Spanish arrived. And then obviously the Spanish were kind of like set up as fall guys, I guess, for a lot of that dying that happened out there. But they continued it on anyway. And so next part of that phase was to move all of God's people from Africa to the New World, because they hadn't managed to get there. which is done through conscripts out of England. So yeah, all of this proud British history of the British Empire, none of that is anything to do with Britain. British people were subjugated people. We live on an island, there's nowhere to run here. Yeah, that's the way it is. In China they built walls around the people to stop them escaping, and then told them it was to keep the Mongols out. The Mongols are Muslims as well. So, not that I have a problem with Islam. I think there's a lot to be said for all people. I just think that there's time and places for everything. So we've got to the point where we're currently set up. So what do we have? We have the 9/11. Okay, so this is where I sort of started losing the plot with my own so I was involved with I was at a military school when 9/11, when that 9/11 happened, and we were all being set up as military officers. And I was pretty good at sports, and I was pretty much one of the top sets within my group, with my peer group. So I was looking for a decent career in the military, and I had the right place to launch it from. It's just that when the old 9/11 basically come out and we decided to we started to have a war with Iraq, it upset me to the point where I couldn't really, so this is where English soldiers are marching off to Iraq or Afghanistan, okay, under a false pretense, and so your false pretense is, are we going to Afghanistan for heroin producers? We're going there because these people come from there and they destroyed these towers. Or we're going to Iraq because they've got a nuclear weapon. Yeah, they come up with this pretense, or they've got oil. Yeah, they come up with a pretense, but that's not the reason why we were there. Because we didn't really do anything to do with looking after oil or looking after heroin. The main thing we did, we took out anyone that was protecting minorities, and we installed savage, Wahhabi Muslim Islamists who will look at a family and break it apart, saying I want all the women to come with me to further the cause of Islam, and all you men, you can get to the oil refinery with your kids, and if there isn't 20,000 barrels of oil by next Tuesday, then, you know, do I need you around? Yeah, and so that's where you get cheap oil from. It's where you get, because you're getting people working under slave labour, say, well, fucking kill your kids if you don't make sure that oil keeps running, and we're going to take your wife as well, and take it back to Mosul, and we're going to do all sorts of horrible things to it there. And that's what England defended it, like all the English army, my best buddies from school, going out there and making that happening, really helping the subjugation of white Arabs by black Arabs. That is literally as outrightly as it is. But more, you couldn't put it any more on a line than that. My colleagues, my peer group, my old pals from school, we'd be playing rugby or football together. You guys have made it possible for the rape of humans all across the Middle East, and I'm glad I didn't join you, and I hope you fucking enjoyed it, because there's no fucking other reason for you to have gone and done that other than just so you could enjoy shooting guns, feeling important, because that's all you did. You didn't help anyone. Yeah, and it, you know, make it different. I couldn't pay any tax into this country, you know, because that's just where my mum's from. My mum's white Arab, and I can't be paying tax into a country that goes to kill my mum's people, you know. And if the rest of the country is quite happy to carry on paying taxes so they can have their cheap car oil and drive around enjoying themselves, beating their horns and playing their tunes, yeah, then I'm not really part of your culture either. Yeah, so, you know, I am talking as an objective person here. Most of the English people are just wicked, mate. You know, they've never had an opportunity until now to really turn things round, because whatever goes on in this country has effects elsewhere in the world, and so we're all trying to forgive, forget and move forward.